Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here this morning and for having me. It is a real honor to share this topic with you. I believe that greatness takes time. And so do you, of course. It takes ages to achieve something fantastic or brilliant or memorable. But it's tempting to explain someone else's success with a moment of luck or a stroke of genius. But I don't think that is possible. It takes time, effort, research, learning, often by failing to make progress. Those tiny increments of progress, but they all add up. Some luck may come your way, and if you use it correctly, you can certainly speed things up, but it will not take you to the moon. To achieve greatness in whichever capacity you want to, you will need to compound your efforts, build up momentum, and you can absolutely get there. Jim Collins, the author of Good to Great, uses the analogy of a flywheel, an enormous wheel that requires a huge amount of effort to get moving. But once it has momentum, it becomes an unstoppable force. This is a framework that businesses and individuals can use to guide strategy by investing in a reinforcing chain of components, the flywheel, that builds up momentum over time until a point of breakthrough. I'm going to tell you how mega companies like Amazon have used this flywheel, how I have used this flywheel, and how you could use this flywheel too. But first, I want you to imagine yourself trying to get this kind of flywheel moving. You give it a huge push and it turns just a few inches. You keep pushing, maybe weeks, days, and you complete one turn. Friends and family come to your support and you're at 2 turns. You bite down, dig deep, and you lean into your flywheel and you're at 4. Eventually there's a team. There's a team of people pushing, and eventually you make it. 8 turns. And on your next turn, you realize that this turn is markedly easier than the first because your flywheel is gaining momentum. And you keep pushing and you start accelerating. You're at 16 turns, then 32, 100, 1,000, 10,000, a million, 1 billion turns. You've gained some serious traction and your flywheel is almost spinning by itself. It took Amazon 5 years to make its first $1 billion and 2 days to make its latest billion. This is a flywheel in action. Amazon started out as an online bookstore in 1994 and has become known as the everything store, thanks to an incredibly powerful flywheel. In 2001, Bezos got Jim Collins to present his concept of a flywheel at an Amazon strategy offsite, and Amazon ran with it. This is what they came up with. Starting at the top, Amazon lowers prices on more offerings. It's the place online where you can get the best price on anything you want to look for. Those great prices increase customer visits to the website. More and more customers want to get those better prices, and off they go straight to Amazon. You can almost rely on the fact that the more customer visits to the website is going to attract more third-party sellers that want to sell their products on the platform. Notice how each step happens almost inevitably as a consequence of the step before. That's critical. As more third-party sellers are attracted to the platform, Amazon is able to expand their store and expand their own offering and extend distribution. This means that revenues are going up, but costs aren't going up at the same velocity, and that gives Amazon the opportunity to grow revenue per fixed costs. They become more profitable, and what do they do with that? They lower prices on more offerings, kicking us off again for the second loop of this flywheel. And this simple circle reinforces itself time and time again and has propelled Amazon to become the second ever trillion-dollar company. The takeaway, your flywheel need not be complex. Simple is often king. The flywheel concept seems to work for Amazon, and it's been very useful for me too. In 2015, my best friend and I started a swimwear label called Granadilla. At the time, no one in South Africa was selling these colorful mid-thigh length swim shorts that were super popular elsewhere in the world, in particular in Europe. Locally, you could find Billabong or Quicksilver boardies that weren't as colorful, that were longer than the knee, and frankly, we found that there was a gap. If you were ultra rich and ultra trendy, you could buy a pair of Vilebrequin swim shorts at 3,000 Rand a pair. But there was a gap at a reasonable price point for this market. So back then, I was focusing fully on my strategy consulting, and so Granadilla was very much a side hustle. I would pop into the factory during my lunch breaks quickly and see how things were going and do design work on the weekends. Between my partner and I, we had no prior experience in fashion or fashion design, but we had identified this gap in the market, and we had found a product that we believed in, and we were naive and ambitious enough to try to fill that gap. So for the first summer season, we ordered 300 pairs of shorts across 4 different designs, or 4 different illustrations. And we had outsourced as much as we could, anything from production to distribution. But the one thing that we stayed very close to was the design, the illustration on our shorts. So it took us 6 weeks to sell out, which was a fantastic success and really proof of our product market fit. But one thing was blindingly clear. We had a bestseller. And that was the Granadilla Lolly shorts. Everybody loved the lollies. For those that don't know this about Cape Town's Clifton Beach, it's worth telling the story of the lolly sellers.
I've been working on Clifton Beach for 27 years. He asked me, can I sell ice cream and cool drink? I said, no, I don't know how to do it. He said, listen here, there's only one thing you have to do. You carry the 2 boxes and you talk to the people. So I went out and I listened to the guys before me on the beach day, but the next day I sold him ice cream, cold drinks. Here's a water for your lovely daughter.
It's the way you say it. Sometimes you go home, you think, hey, I'm going to put something new to it. Ice cream, cold drinks, mineral water. I got a lolly to make it jolly, a sucker to smack your wanga baka.
And the guy with another repeat. And something is going on and
I was like, oh, they just ice cream, cold drinks, mineral water. You won't make any business.
Most of these guys live in Khayelitsha Township and hitch a ride to the beach on the back of a rusted old bakkie every day the sun shines. If the weather's good, they're at the beach, selling ice creams, cold drinks, and Granadilla lollies. And this is the only place in the world that you'll find these unique ice lollies, sold only by these charismatic tradesmen with their catchy rhymes. These lollies have become symbols of summer, for me and for many others, of fun times with family friends, of great weather and cold Clifton waves. And that's what makes them iconic. These lolly sellers, the vibrant and energetic entrepreneurs, are the inspiration behind our brand name. And it was this delicious lolly that gave our flywheel its very first nudge. Plugging a gap in the market is always a good way to start a business. But what about the inevitable copycat brands and Woolworths and H&M? It's not going to be long before they offer something similar. But our unique prints are our unique selling point. We have the OG Granadilla lollies that really capture the essence of summer in this beautiful mother city. That glistening light off the water, Camps Bay's palm trees, freedom, bliss, no work, no wind, smiles and laughter. Our Muizenberg huts, colorful remnants of the beach's popular history, and penguin shorts, quintessentially Cape Town, the only place in the world where you can swim with the African penguin. Recently, we've done collaborations with the Walter Battis Foundation, the Tretyakov Foundation, as well as Rising Star and one of South Africa's most famous artists at the moment, Nelson Makamo, who was recently seen on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Once we've identified the iconic prints that resonate with our customers, we use social media to amplify their recognition and awareness and grow our brand love. This Lollify campaign exemplifies that. We challenged city sightseeing Kalula and the Table Mountain cable cars to let us lotify their assets through social media. And Kalula actually responded positively, saying that they'd be more than happy for us to paint one of their entire planes, so long as we fronted the 2 million rand bill. So you'll see it in the sky next year. I'm just kidding. When we get lucky, we post photos of celebrities like Justin Bieber, Chris Gayle, or Candace Swanepoel's kid wearing granadillas. And we have a strong community and have harnessed the power of user-generated content to get stickiness in tight social circles with our user-gen content. And we take a page out of Nando's book, and when there's a topical, trendy event happening, we do our own take, whether it's the match in Africa or Maurizio Catalan's banana. So, this is what the Granadilla flywheel looks like. We kick it off with the design of iconic prints, the Granadilla lollies, the penguins, the Musenberg huts. We then amplify the reach and awareness of these prints through social media and create an emotional connection with the customer by using these iconic prints and logos to build brand love. And with a well-known and loved brand, more mainstream customers trust us and are willing to pay a premium price for our products. With that premium price, we're able to invest that back into the new and exciting artists for the next season's collection. The takeaway, find your unique selling point and add it to your flywheel. We've discussed the flywheel of a $1 trillion company, and we've discussed the flywheel of a $1 million startup. And I'd like to tell you about a company in South Africa with a $1 billion opportunity, and we'll show you their flywheel at the end. This is a business that has a flywheel that drives other small businesses' flywheels, and hence potentially the economic flywheel of South Africa. Yoko is a fintech company founded by 4 friends in 2013. And it took them 1 year just to get the license to launch their first product, a mobile card reader that helped small businesses accept card payments. It took another full year to beta their product to a limited number of merchants to make sure that they had their solution right. So that is 2 years of nudging their flywheel just to open the doors. Yoko's customers are small businesses, and they're at the heart of everything we do. I joined Yoko as Chief of Staff in November last year, and I'm so fired up by what the company is doing. Yoko enables entrepreneurs to grow and motivates aspirational entrepreneurs to just start.
What was I? King. This will never succeed. No bank or finances. That's how I'm going to be a king. So this is just this king. This is no real business. It's a dear fail my father's legacy, this childhood dreams. This idea of sale.
Don't pay no mind, I'll be just fine. 'Cause I've worked my whole life for a chance to sing my song. Don't pay no mind, I'll be just fine. I've worked my whole life for a chance to sing my song. Don't pay no mind.
So, the products that Yoko provides, I love that video. The products that Yoko provides are not just for the benefit of individual entrepreneurs, but potentially the key to economic growth for the continent. Let me give you some context. In Africa, small businesses are collectively big business. 90% of businesses on this continent are small or medium size, and they employ more than half of the workforce. The NDP anticipates that 90% of new jobs will come from these small businesses over the next 10 years. And so the reality is that these little guys are being hailed as our golden ticket, but they lack the tools to formalize and to grow. And they can't accept all forms of payment. They don't have tools to run and optimize their businesses, and they don't have access to capital. And these small businesses aren't underserved because no one cares about them. The problem is that traditional institutions, like banks for example, have people-heavy distribution models that aren't designed to serve small businesses. Small businesses are fragmented and they're small by definition and they're complex. And banks have clunky, outdated processes and regulations and paperwork. And the reality is that banks take months to review an application for a simple card reader. And they only accept less than half of those applications. While Yoko does applications online in minutes and has an over 99% approval rate. So Yoko is using these innovative channels and distribution mechanisms to solve this distribution challenge that the banks and other traditional institutions are still facing. And there is a legacy problem that the banks have created. We call it the acceptance gap. In South Africa, 75% of the adult population have a credit or a debit card, but only 8% of businesses can accept card as a form of payment. Banks are focused on consumers and big business, leaving small businesses completely unserved. And there are 5 million of them that are still accepting cash as their only form of payment. They're tallying up their earnings on a little pen and paper behind the till, and they're operating outside of the formal economy. Accepting cards is not just about the convenience, and it's not just about the consumer. It means for these small businesses not losing critical customers that don't carry cash. It means digitally recording and tracking their performance, and it means less risk of theft. Yoko has found that simply having access to card payments, whether a business is part of the formal or informal sector, gives them the opportunity to increase revenues by up to 40% in the same year. The next problem that small businesses face is access to finance. It's a simple cash constraint that these businesses are facing, and the bank's archaic risk prediction systems can't help a business with anything less than 6 months of transaction history. But small businesses don't have this. And without a long track record, these small businesses are facing cash flow and growth constraints, and they're unable to create these jobs that we're hoping they do. But after transacting just 28 days with the Yoko card reader, you can be eligible for Yoko Capital. Yoko is using technology to do these risk assessments rather than people, using machine learning rather than paperwork. And we've seen an average 18% revenue growth in businesses that have taken a capital offer from Yoko. These innovative products and distribution models are the key components that set Yoko's flywheel into motion. Starting at the top, driven by the massive gap and need for small business formalization, Yoko develops payment products that are simple and that help small businesses to grow. And then Yoko launches these products into the market and uses an innovative distribution model to reach small businesses that have previously been underserved. 4 out of 5 new Yoko merchants have never accepted card payments before. And Granadilla was once one of these small businesses back in 2015. As more small businesses start adopting these products, these small businesses start to grow because it's the first time they've had access to point-of-sale software. They can accept card payments from tourists. They can make more money. And so Yoko then develops more advanced products like Capital Offer and offers these to these businesses to help them grow even further. And as these small businesses grow, so Yoko grows, as their business model is based on the transaction revenue of these small businesses. And that growth for Yoko means an investment back into the next round of simple products that help small businesses to grow. This beautiful circle reinforces itself, stimulating Yoko's growth, small business growth, and economic growth for our country. So, what could your flywheel look like? Can you distill it to something as simple and powerful as 4 to 6 components? As a startup founder, you don't need to reinvent the flywheel. Find one that's working and set it in motion for yourself. Include your unique selling point, and if any luck comes your way, align it with your flywheel, and it will certainly speed you up. You might even make it to 8 turns. But don't stop there. Your momentum is only just beginning. The next 8 will be much easier. The flywheel framework has worked for companies like Amazon, it's working for me, and it's working for Yoko. I hope that it can work for you too.